All right, it is 6 o'clock on Wednesday, November 6th, 2024, and everybody is here, and even Brian has a tie on, so we're really we're looking great tonight. And apologies for the mood lighting we have going on. The bulbs that we have are not compatible with the new lights. We have them on order. We have a little November pre-holiday mood lighting going on. If you'll all join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please take your seats. Moving on to item number 3, citizen comment period. We have one person signed up, Maria Curry. Thanks for coming to sign up. You have 3 minutes. We can't comment on what you're saying, but we're listening and taking notes.
Thank you.
So the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Well, good evening. I'm Maria Curry. This is Astrid. I'm a local resident, a property owner, and a mom. I came today to introduce the Garden Ridge Area Coalition for the Environment. As a group, what we aim to do is raise awareness of the effects of quarries and aggregate production operations that have on our communities in order to garner citizen involvement and support to stop further aggregate development in our area. We have 5 areas of focus. 1, water pollution and access. 2, air quality and health impact. 3, the traffic and the truck-related issues. 4, the impact on structures, property values, wells, structural issues due to the blasts. And 5, the environmental impact on both native and endangered species. We're going to be working alongside experts and community members to hold quarries accountable for their actions, their current activities, and also to stop any further development of new proposed quarries and more APOs. So as this issue affects the health and the environment and the property values of every local person here, we do want to ask the City Council to take a formal interest on this issue. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with each of you on this problem.
Thank you very much. That was the only person we had signed up for citizens' comments, so we'll move on to the consent agenda, item number 4. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull from the consent agenda? It's just the minutes from last month. Okay. If nobody has anything to pull, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Did you get it working, Lisa? No. Okay, great. All right, that'll move us on to item number 5, staff reports, and 5A, city manager monthly activity report. Nancy, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First of all, I have Marie McCormick has submitted a thank you for a job well done from Public Works Foreman Eric Lohman and his work crew concerning several city projects they did in Regency Oaks. And they wish to thank our city maintenance crews for a job well done. That was Regency Oaks Homeowners Association. Have another thank you, and this one is to Stephen Steinmetz as Director of our Public Works Department. He's thanking Manuel Troncoso, Public Works Representative, and Public Works Foreman Eric Lohman for painting the traffic stop bars at the intersection of Hickory Bend and Cedar Branch and Garden Ridge Estates. He said, "Your team's direct action to assist our police department with public safety in Garden Ridge Estates reminds residents of the priority you place on their protection. Appreciate your department's mission to provide a safe and secure environment. And please give a big shout out of thanks to Eric Emanuel for another job well done." And then we have Aston Carvalho. She had an incident here in Garden Ridge, and she called in to say that she truly appreciated Officer Wang's calm and caring demeanor during their interaction, and that he made the situation better for her, and she wanted someone to know how much she appreciated it. In your packet also, the Texas Police Association's weekly bulletin. Garden Ridge is in this weekly bulletin, and it's Garden Ridge PD hosted Pizza with the Police event, bringing the citizens together for community conversations while enjoying delicious pizza. The initiative is an excellent example of effective citizen engagement. So this went statewide. Then we received a note from Brent Schneider of Bear Metro 911 Network, and he states, "On behalf of the district's board and staff, we sincerely appreciate your continued support of our mission and goals. We remain confident that through our collaboration, we will continue to provide high-quality and reliable 911 services to the citizens of Bexar, Comal, and Guadalupe counties." This is in regards to the city supporting their annual budget this year. Okay, we have a couple of employee anniversaries to acknowledge tonight. The first one is Stephen Steinmetz, Public Works Director, 24 years. And Ron Everhart, the city's police chief, 10 years. Thank y'all for your dedication to the city. All right. We had a lot of volunteer hours during the month of October. The bill stuffers were 6.5 hours, library was 140 hours, and Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association volunteers put in 473 hours. 24 of those hours were in the CP patrol vehicle. 430 of those hours were put in for the 9th annual car show, and 19 hours for trunk or treat. So we had a total of 619.5 volunteer hours in the city during the month of October. All right, I have a couple of other things that I want to report to council. The events committee has been hard at work planning a very fun-filled Christmas event that will occur on December 6th at the community center beginning at 5:30 p.m. Other than our normal special guest, Santa, we are going to have another special guest, but it's secret who it is right now. So please join us and join the fun and meet our special guest. On December 4th, from 12:10 to 12:40, the Davenport High School Orchestra is going to set up here at City Hall and provide Christmas music. So everyone is invited to join us for that event. That should be fun. There will not be another First Friday until February 7th of 2025. The city's annual audit is going to have to be rescheduled due to an unforeseen situation. And once we get that scheduled, we'll report that to council. And the Around the Flag Brick Garden at Paul Davis Park During October, there were 25 bricks that were purchased and placed around the flagpole in the brick garden. And right now, we are taking orders up until the end of December for placement of additional bricks in February. And that's all I have.
Thanks so much, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Council, anything for Nancy Kay? Great job to all the thank you notes out there. Chief, it's been a quick decade, yes? And Stephen, 24 years. Congrats. That's huge. And Officer Wang, good job. Awesome. He's back there. Making sure we're all safe. We feel good. All right, on to item number B, Finance and HR. Ms. Robin isn't here tonight, so Nancy, any updates for us?
No, I don't have any updates.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item
Welcome.
number
Thank
C,
you.
City Secretary, Monthly Activity Report. Marissa, ma'am, floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight on my report is the upcoming holidays. City offices will be closed on Monday, November 11th, Thursday, November 28th, and Friday, November 29th. And also along with that, it is the holidays, meaning your garbage and recycle service will have it'll be a change in the schedule during the week of Thanksgiving. If your service is usually on Thursday of the week of Thanksgiving, it'll occur on Friday. And if your service is usually on Friday, it'll occur on Saturday. There's no change for Monday through Wednesday, though. If you have any questions about that, the information's out on our social media, or you can call City Hall. We'll be able to answer any questions anybody has. Otherwise, that is all I have.
Thanks, Marissa. Council, anything for Marissa? All right, moving on to item number D, Police Department Monthly Activity Report. Chief, floor is yours, sir.
Working today? There we go. Most everything's in the report. Nancy already touched on it, but the car show, huge success. We had over 150 show cars this year out there. It was a great turnout, and they raised just shy of $15,000 as their main fundraiser, which in turn, as everybody knows, they buy equipment and support us over in the police department. So that'll help them out tremendously for what they do. Wanted to touch base. We still have the tree trimming going on till the end of this month. We're trying to get folks to come into compliance with that and get everything up over the road. I do see a lot of trimming going on, which we appreciate. Still a few more out there, so we need to get that word out before the end of the month. And we are now beginning the process of advertising for our 2025 Citizen Police Academy, which starts in January. So we have started that campaign. We'll be getting that information going out as well to everybody so that we can get that class filled up and have a good time there for 11 weeks up at the community center. So if anybody needs any information on that, just get with us. We'll get them on the list. That's all I have to add to that.
Thank you so much, Chief. Council, anything for our chief? All right, moving on to item number E, Public Works. Stephen, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of October, the Public Works Department completed 518 work orders, removed 47 pounds of trash from the right-of-ways. We also directed gas contractors on 2252 to install appropriate BMPs along FM 2252 to protect businesses from runoff. Performed road repairs on Michelle Hill, Goldenrod, Old Nacogdoches Road, and Door Lane. Painted stop bars at 2 intersections. Installed engraved bricks at Paul Davis Park. Helped set up for early voting, car show, and trunk or treat. Stanley George attended basic animal control training refresher. Eric attended an OpenGov workflow management training. And a reminder that we have dumpsters back again in November. So you have a place to take some tree limbs for cutting over right-of-ways. In October, we trapped 7 wild hogs in Trophy Oak subdivision, and we currently have 2 dogs ready for adoption. That's all I have for the Public Works side.
Thank you, Stephen. Council, anything for Stephen regarding Public Works? Okay, you're still on for utilities.
For the month of October, the Utilities Department completed 291 work orders and 58 line locates. We pumped 50.80 acre feet from the Edwards Aquifer. with a year-to-date total of 301.05, leaving 229 acre-feet available. Currently, we're in Stage 2 water restrictions. Edwards Aquifer is still in Stage 4 restrictions. We pumped 50.72 acre-feet from the Trinity with a year-to-date total of 441.39 acre-feet. All required distribution samples have passed. Water loss was at 1.4%. Total portal customers is 861, increased by 4 from September. Meter readability percentages is 99.67% for 1,646 meters. We had only one service line repair, estimated water loss 10,000 gallons. We have hired a new water utilities department employee, Mark Scheck. That's all I have for water department.
Thanks, Stephen. Jesse?
I don't have much to cover, great job still keeping the unaccountable, unsold down, below, without, whatever. And it's been, what, 8 months, I think? And the leak, only 10,000 gallons, that's pretty impressive. So that's the first leak in quite a while, so y'all doing a great job there, and I know you're gonna do the Edwards, try to bring it down with, 10 to 20 acre-feet left by the end of the year?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Council, anything else for Stephen regarding utilities? All right, thanks, Stephen. On to item number F, Library Monthly Activity Report. Trunk or Treat is in the books again for another successful year, Ms. Linda?
It is, thank you. I'm
a great
happy to
time.
report it was an outstanding trunk or treat, thanks to the people who participated by providing trunks and lots of candy. Also, the people who made it work, Eric Lohman and his Public Works people, Chief Ron and Assistant Chief Dan, and the Police Department, along with GRCPAA, Councilman Jesse. Y'all just all work so hard, and it is greatly appreciated. And even Comel ISD was wonderful to work with this year, very easy, and we had spectacular weather to boot, so it all worked well. Since I'm wearing my flag scarf, it must be time to remind you of the Veterans Day celebration of their trunk or treat. There's some really cute people, especially that first one. Okay, and then the Veterans Day celebration is this coming Friday. It seems like we barely turned around twice after trunk or treat, and here we are, ready to do this. You served us, now let us serve you. So we're having lunch along with some other things. We have the flag retirement ceremony at 11. So this is a little bit different. And our speaker, this is a little bit of what all we're going to do. But our speaker is Shelly Gringa Mendieta, having flown various aircraft, including the F-15E, that wasn't yours, the T-38, the T-39, and T-34. Shelly boasts an impressive flight record, accumulating over 2,400 hours and 100 combat missions in Iraq and Afghanistan. She commanded the 455th Expeditionary Operational Support Squadron at Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan and served as the 39th Air Base Wing Vice Commander at Incirlik, Turkey. Her journey is a testament to defying expectations and forging paths for future generations of female aviators. Drawing from her experience in high-performance aircraft, deployed operations, and leading airmen, Shelly imparts invaluable lessons on building stronger teams. Moreover, her resilience and determination were put to the test when faced with a daunting breast cancer diagnosis. Undeterred, she confronted her challenge head-on, emerging victorious and inspiring others with her triumphant overcoming of adversity. So I know it's going to be a great day for our veterans. Other than that, we have a lunch and learn on how to care for and manage small trees. That's going to be November 21st. And for people who used to build with Legos, we have advanced Lego robotics every first Saturday. You know, A lot of people, a lot of dads especially, love to try to mess with these because it's basically Legos on steroids. Besides being closed next November 11th, next Monday, November 11th, will be closed, of course, Thanksgiving, the Thursday, Friday, also Saturday, so we can have that weekend. And that is all that we have.
Thanks so much, Linda. Council, anything for our esteemed librarian? Outstanding. Please tell Gringa hello from Leaf.
I will do that. I'll tell her Leaf said hello.
There you go. All right. On to item number 6, city engineer projects and status reports. Mr. Hank? It's great to see you. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I did want to expand on a couple of items that were on the report. For the FM 2252 project, CenterPoint did have to redesign their boring plan across FM 2252, just east of the 3009 intersection, which is delaying their completion in that area by 3 to 4 months. So we're still in a waiting period for them to get in, and so we can get in there and finish our waterline project. Just a bearer of great news, I seem to be. I apologize, but we're rolling with the punches. I'm still working with their contractor to make sure they can get out there as soon as they're done with the work and finish it in one fell swoop. The Revival, we've continued conversations with them for pre-development meetings. We also met with them yesterday to go through the off-site sewer extension. So those conversations are continuing, and we're expecting a submittal of the site plan for review sometime this month.
Thanks, Hank. Council, anything for Hank, our engineer? Thanks for being so tenacious with all the different contractors with 2252. So it's a work in progress, obviously, and it continues, but thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, on to item number 7, City Commission Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. 7A, Planning and Zoning, they did not meet in October, so there's no update tonight. 7B, Water Commission did not meet in October, so there's no update tonight. Moving on to item number 8, Approvals and Authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 8A, Resolution Number 528-11-2024, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, of votes cast to elect Board of Directors for the Comal Appraisal District for the years 2025 and 2025 through 2027. So, Nancy, I'll turn it over to you to talk about what we have discussed over the last couple of weeks with this and possibly recommendations from the city on how we should cast our votes as council.
Okay. The Comal Appraisal District Board of Directors has 5 candidates up for election. 3 of those candidates are for the term of 25 through 27, and 2 are for the term of just the year 2025. The City of Garden Ridge has a total of 27 votes to cast in this election. Council can choose to cast all 27 votes for one of the candidates, but one of the things that was thought of is we could cast 9 votes for 3 of the candidates. So I leave it to council to decide which, how they might want to cast their votes and to whom they may want to cast their votes.
And this is our 27 votes of thousands that
Yes.
go into this, but every vote counts, right? So we thought, unless somebody up here knows one of the individuals that's a candidate, we thought, well, let's perhaps cast 9 votes for each candidate that volunteered for a 3-year term. So, any thoughts?
I'm familiar with 2, Mr. Couch and Mr. Miller. I
Right.
don't know them really well, but those are 2 that I'm familiar with.
I'm familiar with Doug Miller as well.
Okay,
I'm familiar
Wasn't he
with
the
Eric
Comell
Couch.
County Republican chair at some point?
so, yeah.
Right.
No, that's, he was the son, the state rep. He's the son of the rep.
Well-
Eric Couch is on the board of 100 Club also.
Okay. Would 9 votes for the 3 of those individuals still work, or do you guys want to divvy it up differently?
So they're all, how does it work? They're all running against each other? You know, even though some are three-year term or in just one? I don't understand. They're all for the same position?
They're all for the same positions.
That's weird. I don't, it's confusing.
What do you guys think? Divide them?
I agree with your proposal. Yeah.
Okay, can I get a motion for the 999?
Motion for dividing up the votes for 3 people for 9 votes.
Name them?
Yeah, let's name them.
That being Eric Coach, Douglas Miller Jr., and Robert Slupik.
Okay, we have a motion to divide our 27 votes among 3 individuals, Eric Couch, Douglas Miller Jr., and Robert Slupik. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Awesome, thanks. On to 8B, ordinance number 2211-2024, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, regulating traffic on streets, roads, and highways within the City of Garden Ridge by establishing stop sign locations and placement of traffic control devices, establishing prima facie speed limits and placement of traffic control devices, establishing through truck traffic regulations and placement of traffic control devices, establishing no parking zones, regulating and requiring permits for certain assemblages and processions, providing a penalty, providing a severability, and declaring an effective date. Nancy, I'll turn it to you before turning it over to the chief.
Okay. The fire lane on Waterwood was in need of being repainted. Mr. Lohman asked the fire department to look at it to make sure that, if that was where the curb had been red, was that still their recommendation? The fire department changed the length of the curb on the west side of Waterwood, which made it shorter and different than the fire lane that we had designated in Ordinance 22 previously. So all this is changing the fire lane length for that west side of Waterwood across from the club.
Pretty straightforward. Council, any questions for Nancy regarding this? Okay, if there's no questions, can we get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the revisions to the fire lanes on Waterwood on ordinance 22.
We have a motion to approve the new fire lanes for ordinance number 22. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks. Item number C, City of Garden Ridge covered applications and prohibited technology policy. Nancy, over to you again.
Okay. The past legislative session, Senate Bill 1893 was passed, and it prohibits the use of TikTok and other social media apps on governmental devices. Governmental devices would be those devices that are owned or leased by the governmental entity. This requirement specifically requires cities and other political subdivisions to establish and adopt this policy by November 20th, 2024. Chief Eberhardt found a template for us a model to use, and so we have adjusted it to fit the city of Garden Ridge. This will prohibit any of the TikTok or any of those other related social media devices on our devices or applications on our devices, except if it is providing for law enforcement or developing or implementing information security measures. And with those exceptions, we are going to allow them with the approval from the city manager prior to installing for the specific purpose. At the completion of that specific purpose, then those applications will have to be removed. So this policy has been reviewed by legal, and our attorney was good with it.
All right, so just to be clear, it's not, it's city-owned devices.
City-owned devices, it is not the employees' personal phones or their own personal laptops or anything like that.
Right.
This is strictly city-owned or leased devices.
And thanks to Chief Eberhart for finding this, and
Yes.
good job, Chief. So council, any questions for Nancy or Chief regarding this? Okay, if there's no questions, can we get a motion to approve?
Move to approve City of Garden Ridge covered applications and prohibited technology policy.
We have a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks again, Chief. On to item number 8D, amendments to City of Garden Ridge Police Department Step Pay Program. Nancy, I'll turn it to you before probably giving it to the chief.
Okay. Back in 2021, the city adopted a STEP program for all the city employees across the board. Many of y'all may recall that we rescinded the program for all departments other than the police department. However, the police department's administrative clerk is not included in the STEP program. In the STEP program, we would give a police officer with prior service with another entity 25% of his prior experience, which would move him up on the STEP plan. Chief is finding that that's not a very favorable incentive, especially when you have an officer that may have 8, 10, 15-plus years of service. So the police department is asking to increase that from 25% service credit to 50% service credit. And with that, he's asking for this to be retroactive back to the officer we hired in June. Was it June's correct month? Okay. That service credit be retroactive back to the period of June. Where he's receiving 1 year service credit, he would receive 3. Am I correct?
Correct.
Thanks, Nancy. Chief, anything to add?
Not really to add, just to reiterate. So basically, this last officer that we hired had just shy of 8 years. And with the current 25%, and we only do whole years, then that only gave him credit for 1 year of service with another department, which is not very appealing when we're trying to recruit and retain officers and pull them in here from other agencies. So I asked that we reevaluate that and go to 50% so that we can get that a little bit more across the board with a little bit closer to what other agencies that are using this system are doing. There's other agencies that are given 100%. Not there. 50% is what I'm asking for. And to be retroactive for the last officer that we hired.
Thanks, Chief. Council, any questions among the head nods I'm seeing up here for either Nancy or the chief regarding this request? If there's no questions, can I get a motion to approve the amendments to the City of Garden Ridge Police Department Step Pay Program?
Motion to approve amendments to the City of Garden Ridge Police Department Step Pay Program.
We have a motion to approve. Can we get a second? Second. Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Good
Thank
job,
you.
Chief and
Thank
Nancy.
you.
Thanks. It is the police department's night here. We're moving on to item number E, amendments to City of Garden Ridge Personnel Policy Manual. So Nancy, you get it first, and then the chief.
Sure. We have several changes that we're proposing council to approve to our personnel policy. However, I am going to let Chief explain the police department wage policy change proposal. And then I will do the remainder of the policy changes.
Excellent. Okay, so I believe I've spoken to everybody here. To put all this in a nutshell, you have the packet, but basically what this entails is most employees work 2,080 hours a year, which is 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. And the police department was being scheduled at a rate of 178 hours in a 21-day period, or 171 in 28 days. So basically what it was doing is creating an environment where the officers had to work 2,243 hours a year instead of the 2,080 like all the other employees do to get their annual salary. So I asked that we adjust that so that it would be in line with what we need and what we schedule, and put that at 2080. With our current work schedule, we were working an 84-hour every 2 week. So they would be getting paid for 84 hours would be going into our comp time bank, which several years ago when we developed our city employee general manual, we developed a comp time program just to address this issue. We just haven't been able to get it implemented thus far. So I'm just asking that that be shifted so that it fits in line with the FLSA requirements and is more compatible with what we're actually working instead of trying to manipulate figures. And that will adjust. The reason it falls into a pay issue is because that does adjust their rate of pay back up to 2,080 hour rate instead of a 2,243 hour a year rate. Does not change the budget, does not change their annual salary. It changes the hourly rate to match what they're going to be working. That in turn then touches on 5 different portions and sections in the policy manual. And that's why I drafted up this packet for you to show each one of those sections and how we had to change the verbiage in there in order to fit what we're actually doing. So it looks lengthy, it's several pages long. I believe it's all self-explanatory. I put the current in red, the proposed policy in yellow, so you could see those few changes without having to read through the whole thing. So that's why it looks like it's bigger than it actually is. We just have to adjust our city policy manual and all the different aspects that refer to wages and time off and compensation so that we cover all that in one time instead of doing one policy and then finding out later, oh, wait, well, it also affects this. We went through the manual and fixed them all at one time.
Thanks, Chief. Nancy, anything to add?
Not to that.
Okay, this is, council, this has been a labor of love. Chief and Assistant Chief came to Nancy and I last summer with this request and their thoughts on this, and they have worked very hard with Nancy and Robin to work this out and make it all work. And we can account for everything, and great work to the Chief and Assistant Chief Dan on this. So, and while we were at it, we found some other things in the policy manual that we needed to change at the same time, such as 91 references to a city administrator, and it's now the city manager. So while we were at it, we decided to make those changes as well. So Nancy, anything else? Did I sum that up?
Well, there's some additional changes that we are making to the policy. One of them is related to workers' compensation section of the policy. We have discovered that the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 177A, which pertains to police department employees, if they're injured in the line of duty, they are guaranteed for up to 1 year their regular salary. So we incorporated that into our workers' comp section. On light duty, an employee could work for a 90-day period of under light duty and then be extended for a 30-day period. We've taken out the extension for the 30-day period. It can be extended, but we didn't want to limit to that 30-day period if that employee is actively working to improve their injury or whatever their condition may be. When we adopted the Code of Ethics and Ethical Conduct Rules, we failed to include the receipt and not an acknowledgement of that policy in our personnel policy. So we are asking to include that as Appendix Q to our policy. And I think I got everything else.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Great summation. Council, anything for Nancy or the chief regarding City of Gardner Ridge personnel policy manual changes? If we don't have any comments, can we get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the changes to the city employee policy manual.
We have a motion to approve, as stated. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, council. That's great work, Nancy and Chief and Assistant Chief Dan. Great work.
Thank you.
And Robin, who's not here tonight. All right, moving on to item number 8F, consulting agreement between the City of Garden Ridge and Jill Shackelford. Lisa asked for this to be put on the agenda, but before we give it to Lisa, Nancy, do you want to introduce it?
Yes. Councilmember Swint asked, has spoken with Ms. Shackelford, who has quite a bit of experience in the aggregate industry and knowledge of the industry. And Lisa, Lisa spoke with her, and she's presented Lisa with an agreement between the City of Garden Ridge and Ms. Shackelford to provide consulting services in connection with the operation revolving around a limestone and cement operations in Comal County. I have reviewed the agreement, and I feel that the services and scope of work that are stated in the scope of work and under services is too broad and far-reaching. Some of the other concerns I had with it is who determines what and when the consulting services are necessary and needed. And then the third-party vendor expenses seems to appear that the consultant is free to enter into an agreement with a vendor, and the way this is written, it's the city is openly agreeing to that. Also, this, I'm concerned about the stating in Comal County. Comal County has a very large aggregate industry. I have not run this through legal because I felt that at this time we needed some direction from council. So no expenses have been incurred on this agreement as of yet. And I strongly feel that the council needs to engage the council needs to narrow and define the scope of services, how and who will it be determined that the services are necessary and needed, and if the city desires to move forward with this agreement, that motion I would ask include direction to the city manager to proceed with legal review and negotiations on the agreement based on the terms the council sets for the agreement. Currently, I do not see a need, nor can I determine a true benefit to the city with this consulting services agreement. And I think council needs to look at it very seriously. And I am also concerned that such an agreement that is, if it's not defined, could create could deteriorate the city's relationship with the quarry that is existing in our city limits.
Thanks, Nancy. Lisa, over to you.
That was interesting. So you haven't run it by legal, but you've had
No,
it
ma'am.
since the third week in September. You didn't reach out to me for any clarification or to legal? No?
No,
Okay.
I felt it was something that the city council needed to give direction on. I felt it
Okay.
needed to be presented to council.
Well, let's walk through the things that you have concerns about, because I will tell you that I'm disappointed as a city manager that you believe that there needs to be zero action taken in relationship to the quarry. Because what I hear day in and day out are people upset that we aren't taking action. I hear people reaching out and not getting responses with questions. So let's walk through the contract. So how can we narrow the scope so you are satisfied with it, or the council is satisfied with it?
It's not, I'm not the decision maker, Councilmember Swint.
Okay.
The city council is the decision maker.
Okay.
Okay? And for months, I have been telling you, suggesting that you narrow the focus of your efforts with the quarry. This is pretty broad.
Council, I'd like a little bit of feedback on if you think that we need help, because I'm getting zero help from City Hall, minimal help from City Council. Do you want to tell the citizens that we can't get additional help?
I think if you want feedback from the council, let's let the council speak on it. I'm going to start on my left-hand side. Brian.
Okay. Yeah, I made some notes, Mayor. Certainly, I can sympathize with those constituents who have concerns about the quarry expansion, but however, I have a couple of points just by looking at this, and it seems like the quarry expansion is outside the jurisdiction of Garden Ridge, so what is this consulting helping the city to resolve? The city already has a process in place to handle community complaints against the quarry, and after reading this contract, it seems like this would be writing a blank check to the consultant as the contract seems vague. I ran on a platform that against having our constituents pay for anything that's unnecessary. To me, this would be an example because I believe this is an exercise in futility as we don't have any governing or regulating authority to do anything with this data once we receive it. I believe this should be handled through the legislative process because, again, I don't understand what the point is and what we're going to do with this data. And also, I've spoken with some of my constituents, and they all strongly agree against using any tax dollars to hire a consultant, entering into such a vague contract for consulting services for something that they see it's outside our purview, our city limits, in which we have no jurisdiction over. So in good faith, I can't support this as it is right now is how I look at it, if you want my feedback on this. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Todd?
I'm the old man on the council, I guess, so I've watched this issue with the quarry go on for better than a decade. We may have a need for some independent third-party thought, somebody that's an expert in dealing with quarries. Now, I'm going to qualify that with may. What we probably need to do first, and Lisa and I have talked about this a little bit, is develop and I'm not even sure what the legal terminology is, so I'll look at the attorney here. She's not giving me the quit talking motion yet, so we're good. A policy of the city on how we're going to deal with the quarry. we don't really have a unified policy for dealing with the quarry from the city of Garden Ridge, what our policy is. And perhaps that's the first step that we need to do, is come up with that policy. Then we have guidance. We have guidance for what I, Todd, known for running his mouth excessively sometimes, can say to the quarry as far as what the official representation and the position of the city council of the city of Garden Ridge is. Once we develop something like that, we could come up with the need to have a third-party person to come in and tell us what our legal standards are, what has worked in other communities, what gets done to try to work with quarries to limit the impact of the quarry on the city. Because it's having an impact, and as it grows, it's going to get worse. So how do we go forward with this idea? I'm looking for ideas from other people, too. I don't know if we're going to talk to the city attorney and come up with a city policy in dealing with the quarry. That unifies us. It gets us all working together. We're all singing from the same hymnal on the same page of the same song, hopefully on the same stanza to boot. And we present a united front, and away we go. We can work with the quarry to minimize their impact on us. We're never going to remove them completely. That's, I don't think, a realistic goal, but I do think the impact is there, the traffic is there. We need to look at it. And I know I'm formulating some of my thoughts as I go along here right now, but putting us all on the same sheet of music would probably help.
Up just a second and talk about what Jill Shackelford can do. Jill Shackelford, her goal, again, she ran an asphalt batch plant. And her goal is to make the industry better. That is her stated goal as a consultant. She is working with TRAM, Texans for Responsible Aggregate Mining. She's working with the Great Springs Project. And she was the founder of a committee in Kerr County that brought together APOs and the city and facilitated discussions based on her knowledge of things. Now, what Jill can do is help us operate at a higher level. She can review the WPAPs, the air permitting. She can get us in front of people that so we're not playing checkers at the ground level. She can get us to those people. She knows those people in the industry, including the higher-ups at Heidelberg. So and as far as policy goes, we passed a resolution that said we oppose the expansion. We did. It was unanimous.
Yes.
Right.
We did. It still doesn't, it discusses that we're against it. It doesn't give guidance on how we're against it. Okay, great, we don't want you to expand. Well, what does that mean from there? No more trucks? There's a lot of stuff that could encompass, and perhaps we need to quantify it, go down, hey, here's the city's stance on the quarry expansion. We don't like it, and we'd like to work with the quarry to cut back on truck traffic coming through 2252 and 3009, see if we can find an alternative route. The truck route we've talked about. We'd like to find out, is there a time frame where you're going to have a lot of trucks coming through the city, because we've got all the construction that's going on out on I-35, 1604, quite frankly, 2252. That could be great. We've got a timeline, so let's try to work it out with the quarry that, hey, please don't bring your trucks through at the time when the kids are going to and from school. There's a lot of different things we could quantify to say these are the goals that we want to get to in working with the quarry. At that point, she'd probably be really useful.
I'm astounded.
I don't know if we're at that point yet.
I am astounded.
Okay.
I mean, don't we listen to our citizens?
We do, and I have been for years. And what I've tried to do over years is, okay, what do you want us to do with the quarry? It also has to be in the realm of realistic if possible.
Right.
Shutting
sure.
the quarry off isn't going to happen.
Right.
So let's try to quantify what it is we're trying to accomplish in working with the quarry to minimize the impacts on our citizens, but quantify it. And believe me, I've talked to a lot of those citizens as well, and there's a lot of them that want, well, I don't want the quarry, I got to shut it off. Okay, not a realistic goal. One of the things with goal setting is you got to have a goal you can actually get to. So, yes, we want to listen to our citizens. Yes, I've talked to hundreds of them over the
Well,
decade
wouldn't
I've
it
been
make
sitting up
sense to
here.
talk to an expert in this field to help set goals?
Yeah, especially
Right.
when, well.
Right. I mean,
yeah,
wouldn't that
okay,
be helpful?
There is a suitable point there.
Right.
There truly is.
I mean, that's what she's here for. I'm not an expert. Nobody in City Hall is an expert. So how are
No.
we supposed to come up with
So once we
this
come up with
path?
ideas, perhaps that's the time to bring her in. But set together a group, I don't even know the right terminology. Set it up that we're all singing the same song. And then get her advice. City policy on dealing with the quarry, and then get her advice. What are our goals? Then get her advice on how to get to those goals. I don't know if we're ready to have this happen yet. I'm not against the idea. Quite frankly, I like having the idea of expert help, because God knows I need it. But I don't know that we're there yet, not without having a solid policy on how we're gonna deal with the quarry.
Let's keep going just to get the other opinions here. Jesse?
Okay, well, you know, I've listened to Nancy, Brian, and Todd now. When I read the agreement, yes, I had problems with it. It's real open-ended. I needed to have something. But also, you know, you know, Brian got a point. It's not in our jurisdiction. The expansion is that only the current quarry is. So I don't have a problem in dealing with the quarry. I have not personally received any comments about the expansion. No citizen has reached out to me about the expansion as far as complaining. I have received a comment after the agenda came out, complaining about using city funds, taxpayer funds, to battle something outside the city limits. So, and I'm in agreement with that. And I've said that from the very start, the beginning of the year, when this first came up. I don't want to use taxpayer money to do with the expansion. Now, if you want to do this with just the existing quarry, I could probably support it, but not the expansion. The expansion is probably 50 years away from affecting us, you know, a long time. So I don't see our current residents even should be worried about the expansion. Plus, it's in the county, it's not in our city. So I have a problem with that, using taxpayer money. Again, it's not like Brian said, it's not in our jurisdiction. Heidelberg, how do you pronounce the name? They follow ordinance 34. They follow our blasting requirements. Everything that was created in that ordinance that the Quarry Commission put in place has been followed. Right, Nancy, they meet the requirements. We've had complaints received. They've been addressed, you know. There's a procedure for handling when extending quarry problems. So that's been handled in the past. So, again, I don't see this as a city issue of the expansion. If we have a issue with what the quarry existing, that's one thing, but not the expansion. I think it needs to be dropped as a city issue. I think it needs to be dropped as even from the agenda, being a city issue. It's not a city issue. Only the existing quarry could be. So, like I said, I have a lot of problems with where we've been heading with this expansion. So I'll stop there for now.
Kelly?
Yes, sir. Okay, so Todd, your idea about coming up with a plan, right? Is this something that Ms. Shackelford can assist us with?
Absolutely. That's what she's doing in Kerr County.
Okay. So, you know, there should be some sort of outreach with the quarry, because to my knowledge, and you talk about relationship, hurting relationship, I don't know of a relationship. Are you meeting with them? Okay, are you?
Only if they exceed blast or violate a section of our ordinance.
Right. But don't we think that there should be a continual stream of communication, right, between the quarry and us? That's my opinion. I am getting bombarded from people going, what are we going to do about them, for lack of a better word, poisoning our kids?
Right.
That's what one mom told me. And that really impacted me when she said that, because, you know, even my kids, they have so many breathing and problems and allergy problems and issues that, especially the last month, and I see a correlation with that, because the skies around here have been really bad. The air has been really bad around here, and that I get on that air quality alert, and it's like just inching up towards the, you know, where it should be of concern. But I've got several ideas here. So, but I don't think, I think once the Quarry Commission was abolished, I think at that point, we lost that line of communication. Let's see here. But I'm all about, I think she does need to, we need to
Oh, I'm happy to
wrangle in
narrow
her-
the scope. I'm a little upset that it didn't go to legal and get some more ideas instead of just,
Well, yeah, I
saying
would,
everything was wrong.
I would
That's
love to
a-
be I would love to be hearing from our legal right now with their recommendation of how we could narrow that down. So I do agree with you on that. I mean, I think that should be a little bit further advanced right there.
Right.
So, so are you, I mean, and maybe we need to talk with legal right now. I mean, what do we do here? So you want to see it condensed down into and certain targeted items, and then you'll take it to legal, or?
Let me jump in here and give some thoughts. To address your concerns, if there are concerns about dissolving the Quarry Commission, as per this council and the city, had run its course. And so we established our ordinance and reestablished a working relationship with the quarry, and we still have that. The quarry, we have a process, like Nancy said and Jesse said, they are in accordance with our ordinance and with their blasting. However, this, in my opinion, the scope of work, like Nancy said and Jesse said and Brian said, and actually you and Todd, it's too vague and too broad. But to have an expert opinion of someone who actually ran a quarry to help us go to the next step of, within the city of Garden Ridge, and not just Heidelberg, but Guadalupe Ready Mix and Lion Cave, that's a serious problem at the edge of our neighborhood, to give us some expert guidance and focus as a council and as a city going forward. I think that there would be value to that, keeping it within the city, and getting, in this case, her expert opinion on helping us to have a continued good working relationship with all of the APOs within the city of Garden Ridge. So my opinion, if we narrow the scope of work and get more specific with it, I think there could be value added with that. So, my thought process anyway. Lisa?
Well, how do we narrow the scope of work?
So what we could do is not take any action on this tonight as a council. And then I would say you go back to Jill and talk to her about, get a consensus of the council to continue to work with her about narrowing the scope to the city of Garden Ridge, city limits, APO operations like you've discussed, but exactly what she will help us do. Because remember when we hired DFW Stratcom, they gave us a scope of work with very specific requirements. Hey, we're going to provide you with a new brand for the city, give you 3 options. Of those 3 options, you'll have 3 color palettes. In addition to that, we're going to give you 3 options for a tagline. In addition to that, we're going to help rewrite your crisis communications plan, and then upon approval of that, we'll come down to you and exercise it. And those were all specific, not just $257 an hour, they were specific line items in the scope of work that, hey, this is what we're going to get for our money. So I think that there would be value to that.
Well, I mean, I certainly would have liked some feedback in September when she had the contract.
We're doing it, we're talking about it as a governing body right now.
So what you're saying is, let's delay this until next month. I mean, I can't tell you how many things we've delayed until next month. My phone's blowing up right now with people who are angry.
Okay.
We need to remember we're in a marathon, not a sprint.
Understand. And I am the one running the marathon.
You're on point for it.
I'm on point for it. And I've got a bunch of people here that aren't nearly as involved as I am, weighing in. I mean, what I'd like to say is, so Jesse, you don't think the APOs are of concern for the city and the citizens?
I'm concerned about the expansion. I am
So you
concerned
don't-
about anything in the city right now.
Okay,
Like the
so you
existing
don't
quarry, yes,
believe
I have a
the
problem.
addition of 2 concrete batch plants
That's
and the
outside the city.
addition of 1,000 acres is detrimental to our city
I
or
didn't say
citizens?
that. I just said it's not our city limits.
Well,
outside
no,
of
but
a
I'm
jurisdiction.
asking,
We're not going to do this tonight. We're going to talk about this agreement. That's
well,
what
but I
we're
want
talking
to talk
about.
about where people stand on things too.
We're
Because
going to
that
talk
is
about
part
this
and
agreement.
parcel for this agreement.
I don't have a problem with with a agreement like Rob said, if it's just focused on the existing quarry. So we can improve that. If we need to revise our ordinance, we need to do that. If we maybe need to look at revisiting a quarry commission, look at some of those. I think those are all options we need to consider, but with the existing quarry only. I'm not worried about the expansion at this
Okay,
point.
you're not worried about anything but the Heidelberg quarry.
Existing, now also.
And
one of the-
Brian, you're not worried about the quarry
Again.
or the APOs?
Again, I think I was clear what I said earlier. It's not that I don't care about it. It's like I told you. This right here, we're going to be paying somebody with an open contract, and at the end of the day, I don't see what it's going to do a benefit for the city because it's out of our jurisdiction. It's nothing against what you're telling me that I have no concerns. Yes, I think about what you're saying too. I have children just like Kelly does, and I know where you're coming from on that, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying right now at this council is that I see this as an exercise in futility. I feel that this is something right now, based on what I'm looking at, we're just going to be shelling out money, and I don't even know what's going to come out of it. I want my constituents to know if we're going to invest $200 and whatever an hour just for something, that there's an end result, there's an end game. And what I see right here, Lisa, I don't see an end result or an end game. I see starts of something that we need to tie it up to see what we're trying to do, because this is not going to do anything for us. I think there needs to be more people brought in. Have we talked to other cities? Well, I mean, I'm sure you have, because I know you've been working on this for a while. But it seems like it can't be just Garden Ridge problem. It's got to be the Comal County's problem. And I don't think you've got support on anybody else but from Garden Ridge side to do this too. So to answer your question, no, I don't think this is not important. What I'm telling you is that I don't see how there's going to be something that's going to come out of this that's going to be a result that we're trying to get. That's what I think.
How familiar are you
So-
with battling quarries?
Lisa, forgive me when I say this, but I have a full-time job. I don't have the time to go out and investigate quarries, okay, like some other people on this committee that could do. That, to me, I understand we need somebody to look at this, but I have concerns too that we haven't had somebody that you're talking to by yourself to come talk to us, and maybe we could have some questions asked and see what they're doing. I only see one person that we're even looking at on this. Just like in other things, we usually have people I would think that would come and talk to us about what they could offer before we'd even decide to look at what we're doing with this. We have one person that you've looked at and talked to, and I don't understand all the specifics on the contract. So you already know the answer to that. I have no experience with quarries. I mean, come on.
Right.
We have $10,000 in our budget for
That we
consulting.
approved for
Yeah.
consulting.
That's less than 40 hours at $257 an hour. So, and there's no limit on this agreement didn't even have a max. So that could go exceed 10,000 very quickly.
Again, I have no problem with adapting the contract. Again, it's been sitting at City Hall for a month and a half with no action, only to come here and ask for it to be delayed.
Lisa, nobody's asking for this to be delayed. The contract as written is too vague and not specific enough to spend taxpayer dollars on, because there's no scope of work. There's no limit. What do we get for our dollars? what we have
Well,
talked
should we
about, hang on
workshop
a
this
second,
now?
I'm talking. What we have talked about is perhaps Jill Shackelford could be somebody we could use and hire with a specific scope of work and exactly what this person's going to give us to help us come up with an end state, a goal as a governing body for the city of Garden Ridge regarding Heidelberg, Lion Cave, Ready Mix, all of those things. So we're all concerned about this, and it's not an argument. We all have concern about this. But as you have this written, it is way too vague for the city of Garden Ridge. Way too vague.
Okay,
So-
I didn't write it, and I didn't get any feedback or questions.
You brought it,
So
you wanted it on the agenda tonight, so from your
It's
point of
not my
view, it's ready
job.
for prime
It's
time.
not my job to
You
review
just said you're running
illegal-
point on all this.
It is not my job as a council member
Okay.
to review legal documents.
All right.
Has anybody been else asked to been review legal documents? It's our attorney's job and our city manager's job.
All right. Council. So it sounds like, what do you guys want to do with this tonight? Okay?
Do we all give our input of what we want to see on the condensed version, the targeted version? So she could take it back and get that, or what do we, what's our end game
Let's, we'll start with you, Kelly. What do you want to see as a scope of work specific?
The plan, I mean, the actual plan, like Todd mentioned. Have that plan lined out. That might be 20 hours of work right there. I don't know. Have that, and so that we do have an actual plan, so that there's communication and there's a relationship, right? Our goal is a relationship. Our goal is to, because you can't, like, well, I don't know who said it. You can't stop a quarry. I mean, you're not going to stop it. I mean, it's especially one that's existed before the city existed. But that would be my big thing, get the plan in place, and if it's two of us, or you, the mayor, and city manager, and sit with her and design this plan, right? I mean, I think I agree it needs to be targeted, and I don't think she should have as much,
Well, again,
but I agree we need something. I'm not disagreeing.
What
with
if we,
that.
what if we did
absolutely.
this? What if we look to her to bring us in and we do a workshop like we've done in the past that she facilitates with her expertise with the six of us and Nancy and legal, and talk about as a council with her expertise where we want to go, what we can do, what we can't do, and talk about it for a couple of hours. And we start with that.
I don't feel like I have the expertise on this. I think the Quarry Commission, there's people on the Quarry Commission that do have expertise. I would consider bringing some of those on board to help us with that process, because they're the ones that spent years on the process. So I think they have more experience than I have, than maybe most of us on here, that could help develop that. I mean, maybe with a couple of, Lisa and Todd are part of this line item, so work with them. I think that'd be more beneficial than me spending 3 or 4 hours with them. I don't think it'd be worth my time. I don't think I can help that much and develop that scope.
Okay.
So I think we all have some experts.
Todd? When we dissolved the Core Commission, we said that to
Yeah, we could-
all of them. Hey, you guys are on deck as the varsity
Yeah.
if we need you
That's why
back.
I think we need them. I think we could use them.
Todd?
Broken, so if anybody's wondering why I'm jockeying over all the time, my mic's broken. Yeah, well, Jesse's all right, too. Rob, that idea's actually got merit, because we do need to have some expert advice, in my opinion, and maybe it's just for a small group of us. Get her under contract to have her come in and help us develop our strategy to deal with the quarries. And that really narrows the scope down of what's right there. It's almost concise guidance, and then we've got a strategy. I don't know why I'm on hymnal today, but for some reason I'm on a hymnal, singing from the same hymnal, as a group, to go to the quarry, to go, look, these are the things we want to do. And I would tell the quarry, you know, what we're going to do. I'm not a shy human being. Guys, this is what we need to do. We need to work together or we're going to fight. And then nobody wins when you get in a fight. Y'all end up bruised and bloody, and it never goes well. These are the things we'd like to see from the quarry. These are the things that we would be willing to work with the quarry on. She can help us develop all of that. Reading her resume, I think she would be very helpful for that. That narrows the scope of this down to specific guidance of what we're going to do.
Okay, can we,
Because I'm not a quarry expert. I didn't even sleep in a Holiday Inn last night. I try to study up on the stuff on the quarry. I've learned a little bit about it in the 10 years I've been sitting up here. I know it's always an uphill battle with them. I think we, as a city, have to develop a strategy on how we're going to deal with them. From there, we can implement plans, we can do all that. So, Lisa, does that help kind of narrow
well,
the scope down to guidance?
can we narrow that scope down tonight? Can we implement that
We'd need the document.
tonight?
I don't know how we'd write that.
I have
That's
some
probably a question
concerns.
for the attorney, but
Brian, do you have any other thoughts?
I just want to say that, yeah, I think if we're even going to look at this, it's going to have to be Quarry Commission members meeting with Jill to see if this is even, in their expert opinion, beneficial before we even decide to do anything about paying. Because again, I'm still against what I said earlier about paying for something that I don't see right now, because again, and I'll reiterate this, I don't have any experience with quarries, but I also have more experience about the legislative process on this, and I'm not seeing how, right now, based on what I know, that it's going to be fruitful, but that's my opinion. But again, I think, yeah, some of the things that they've stated, I think we should have the, people that have been on that quarry commission ahead of time, but before, they've got some experience to meet with her and see if this is something that maybe they see that could be beneficial before we even agree to do this, that's my view on it, so.
Just a little bit on the Quarry Commission and their area of expertise. It was almost strictly in regards to blasting. That was the scope of the Quarry Commission. They have no experience with TCEQ. They have no experience with the legislature. They have no experience with all of the organizations that are working on these issues. I absolutely would welcome them. They can understand the geological stuff a lot better than I can. Again, you're looking at me, I'm reading the WPAPs and the air permitting and all of these things. So yes, some help would be nice, but let's not overburden them as well. It's not something that they know about 10%. And that's with our local quarry and the blasting.
I think it's more of a selling point as to why we should commission her to a strategic session to narrow that everything down. But I'm also going to tell you, I don't want to drag this out. I don't want bureaucratic BS to sit there and draw this out and draw it out and draw it out to, where we're still talking about this a year from now. So,
I mean, this is what she's been doing in Kerr County, is getting the people together and working together on quarry relationships. So can we narrow the scope tonight and correct some of the other problems and empower Nancy to sign the contract?
How about this? How about the council gives you consensus to go back to Jill and say, can we write a proposal to have a strategic planning session with the city council and the city manager and possibly other members of the previous quarry commission to sit down for a strategic planning session for how we work with our residents and our APOs for the betterment of both parties. I mean, I don't know what to say, but for the benefit of the city of Garden Ridge, to come in and give us strategic planning, focus, here's what we can do, here are some things to think about, here's what we're working on in Kerr County. and we have a two-hour get-together for whatever she would charge for that. And then she gives us a summary of that. And there we have somewhere that we can, possibly in that session, we can come up with things, specific focus. Trying to help keep this going. So would that work?
So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back after this contract's been sitting at City Hall for a month and a half. I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to her, have a new contract written, and then bring that back next month. Is that what we're talking about?
So we're trying to keep this alive, Lisa. If we can
I'm
easily vote on
asking you
this
what I'm
tonight.
talking about.
What we're talking about is going back to her, just like I
Correct,
said,
like I
and
just
saying,
said.
and have a new contract that says we would like a strategic planning session regarding the city of Garden Ridge and our local APOs. Something as broad and vague as that, with the city council, the city manager, and experts from our previous Quarry Commission, and talk about where we can go and what we can do to help out as a governing body and as a city.
Okay, I understand that. I'm talking about the mechanics of this. You want me to wait until the next council meeting?
No, if we give you a consensus, it's go do this and bring it to us in December.
Right, so the next council meeting.
Yeah,
For approval.
yes.
Okay,
Is that doable?
it's doable.
Okay. Council. Todd. Brian. Not now, but giving Lisa consensus to go back to Jill Shackelford and write a new contract for a strategic planning session with the city of Garden Ridge and members of this council, city manager, and experts from the Quarry Commission about where we go in our relationship with APOs that affect our residents.
So it's not approved for this, it's approved to have her go back and get more information.
Yes,
Have a specific, just
and not motion, just consensus. Kelly,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yeah.
Megan.
Oh, sorry. I had a lot of concerns just with, the majority of the scope is going to be policy, right? It's going to be the direction that the council wants to put forward in coordination with this individual, whether it's consulting services. It sounds like a lot of it might be more lobbyist type of services, which is why you do need very specific parameters and unified plan in order for this person to be able to carry that out. But also, just taking into account legally, my concern is, as a home rule city and city manager form of government, ensuring that everyone's on the same page as far as how those communications and how that direction is going to go, so that the consultant is clear and the city is clear on who, like you said, who can give that guidance of what to go do and seek. And so the more we can spell that out, the council can spell that out within a scope of work, that I'm much more comfortable with that. And I certainly think coming back with a very limited, here's what it's going to cost for me to show up, be prepared, be ready to have these conversations, and work with you guys to come up with that specific goal in mind, and then deliverables, and how many meetings does that look like? I'm good with that. I just wanted to keep in mind that those are other things to think about when this comes back, as far as what does the city council need to make sure it's clear on, and giving that direction to the consultant.
Thank you, Megan. Nancy.
I don't have anything further to add, Mayor.
Okay. Council, can I get Megan, you're okay with just a consensus? Okay. Council, can I get a consensus? Thumbs up will work to go back.
Yeah, I'm going to boot my thumbs up, but I just wanted to know on the record that, Mayor, that when we do have this meeting with this person, that if I don't see that there's something that's, we can quantify, like Todd was saying, or that something that's going to be out of this, that we can use or something that's going to come out of it that isn't just a futility and exercise or an exercise of futility, I'm not going to approve it. So at least that's my vote. So, but if she is able to explain to us that there's an end game and there's something that comes out of it, then yeah, I'm willing to look at that. But I just want to make sure we have that on record, okay? Thank you.
Got it. Kelly?
I'm good.
Lisa? Thumbs up? Okay. Can you show the world? There you go. All right. And I'm sure that Jill Shackelford's going to listen to this meeting and know exactly, I mean, she's the expert, where we can go from here.
Okay.
Okay. All right, moving on. 8G, status of recruitment process for city manager and provide direction to staff as needed. Nancy?
Okay, I know that y'all have been receiving emails from Mr. Singleton concerning the status of the city manager search. Looks like we have a quorum for, was it November 20th, Marissa? Or 19th?
The 19th, there's one person that has not responded yet. We do have a quorum, though, either way.
So it looks like that meeting will be on at 4:30 that day. It will be conducted in executive session, so we are going to need to get some language for that. Then another email was received earlier today. Okay. The 19th will basically be going through the applicants and deciding which approximately, I had understood, possibly as many as 12 that y'all may want to be considering as semifinalist. Then Mr. Singleton is looking to have another meeting the third week in December. I believe that was 16th, 17th, and 18th, one of those 3 days, to review the applicant's written questionnaire, as well as their oral interviews. Again, that will be another executive session. So we will be, does anybody know right now of any conflicts they may have that week? Because they're hoping that in January, we will have 5 finalists to begin interviewing.
Is that a
So-
Zoom or is that an executive session as well?
That will also be another executive
Okay.
session. I'm sorry? Monday, December 16th, 17th would be Tuesday, or 18th on that Wednesday.
I'm good, 16th.
Believe Monday is the 16th, yes. We will send, what we can do is send out an email, but just want to let y'all know that we do have that meeting coming up in December, if possible. So it's moving right along,
And the dates are coming up.
and the dates are
So-
coming up fast, and he's trying to go on and get some dates secured.
All right.
And in addition, on that email, he sent some sample questions for both the video interview as well as the written interview questions. So he's also asking your input on those.
Thanks, Nancy. Council,
You're welcome.
anything for Nancy with that? Okay, we cast a very wide and diverse net with 31 applications submitted, so, but we'll need everybody's input to keep going forward, and we gotta keep the train moving. Moving on to item number 9, city council projects. 9A1, aggregate production operations. Lisa?
Per usual, I have a lot of things. Let's talk about the WPAP that Guadalupe Ready Mix submitted to the TCEQ. The comment deadline for that was the 27th. Greater Edwards Aquifer Alliance wrote a set of comments, and Annalise asked me to draft an alert to send to all of her people. So it went out to her list. Comel Conservation jumped on it too. The League of Women Voters jumped on it as well. And we had 64 comments submitted. It will now go through a 90-day technical review. I'm sure there'll be notice of deficiencies, and it will eventually be permitted. Todd and I have talked about what we do when it's permitted and if we file a motion to overturn. And again, the people that are responding to this are citizens who are saying, no, we don't want any more concrete batch plants in our area. My child has asthma, my car is dirty, my windshields are getting cracked, have concerns. I'll skip some of this, but I had a community meeting, as you all know, no different than having a coffee with the mayor, because council is a terrible place to really discuss items. I can explain what I'm doing, nobody can ask me questions, so Tracy Blackwell was wonderful and hosted me at her office, and we had a meeting in the morning and the afternoon. Probably about 25 people showed up in total, and I explained everything that I knew, and they were able to ask me questions, and I could explain things, and asked what they can do, action items and things. And out of that, this group is getting formed called GRACE, which is the Garden Ridge Area Coalition for the Environment. And they are taking over the Facebook page I originally developed. That page is getting transferred over to them. I got to figure out how to do that. I've tried, but I think I have to go on a computer. Do you know how transferring? I think I can't do it from, I think I have to go on an actual computer to transfer it over. There's people on there that have already been tagged as admins. Some of the ideas that they came up with are really great, and things that other communities have done. I sat at their meeting today with a woman with I messed up the name. No, it's it's a group that worked with the Environmental Defense Fund in Bernie. It's Moms of Clean Air Force. They were able to, and she was sharing them with her template, they were able to actually not have the concrete batch plant that was coming to their town, and this particular company withdrew from Texas. They left. They withdrew from Texas. So she's got a lot of ideas and a template on how they can reach out and what angles that they can explore. They've got somebody who's going to start doing or trying to do a community health survey. Nothing scientific, but just asking, hey, have you seen an increase in asthma? I mean, Heidelberg bought filters for the elementary school. I mean, they know, right? If you've seen an increase in your impact, if you've got respiratory issues, if you've got, anything that could be related to the silica in the air. So I certainly applaud them for doing that. I'll tell you that we all saw the refinery or the fire at CEMEX on October 27th with the big black smoke. They saw it all the way from Marion. I reached out to Scott Hogg and TCQ and got some information from them. It's under investigation. That was a petroleum coke fire, very toxic, super toxic. TCQ is investigating that. Again, not in our jurisdiction, but you better bet that I'm going to put pressure on them to investigate that and make sure it doesn't happen again, or there's consequences. Legislation-wise, I met with Donna Campbell's office on Friday, met with Joyce Unusi and Sonia Chapa and Kevin Webb to discuss legislation. I think since I've talked to you guys, I told you I had made contact with some legislators in Harris County. I have since talked to them, and we're always talking about the most very basic things, notification and setbacks. There's so much more to this, and some of these Harris County senators are bringing things forward. Things like having somebody on site who's trained in opacity, right? So they say that, you know, the air is fine, but lots of times they don't have an actual person that's trained in, that has any kind of opacity training to monitor the air, you know, while things are going. Giving cities and counties personhood. So when you file, against some of these things, you have to prove that you're an impacted party. And that's generally within a certain area and under a certain qualification, if it's a school, if it's a church, those kinds of things. This would give the city and the county standing to, you know, to submit their comments and participate in that process. There is one out there about cumulative impacts that wants the TCEQ to require that they consider the cumulative impacts, and that's the big thing in our area. We just keep adding more and more, and there's an impact there that needs to be measured. What we kind of came, ended with, I stayed and talked to Joyce and Sonia well after that Kevin left, and talked about how you get this stuff done. Started talking about who in the House we could get to sign on to Donna Campbell's bill or sponsor her bills, and how that happens. And a lot of it is done through, negotiation, just the behind-the-scenes negotiation and building that support. They said she is super responsive, to citizen outreach. And I have heard that same thing from her chief of staff. But we also have to find a bill that can pass. There's been lots of these setback bills, lots of these notification. I mean, again, went through this whole sunset review process and read their comments about notification. There's been no changes. So we have to find a bill that's palatable enough to pass and still be meaningful. So, I mean, that's an ongoing process. But I guess I'm going to leave it at that.
Thanks, Lisa. Todd, anything to add since you're on this project?
No, Lisa's been doing all the legwork on it, realistically. I'm the sounding board, is that a proper term?
Sure, yeah.
I'll go with sounding board.
Okay. Thanks. 9A2, mitigation of growth and encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge. Only update I have is Hank did a lot of work putting together how far out we would go with an ETJ expansion, as well as property and property owners, and those that are platted and those that aren't. I gave Todd, as the pro tem, a copy of what Hank gave us. Hank also blew up 2 big maps, because it is no kid in an eye chart with the map for Nancy and I to review with him. So it's not ready for prime time yet for council consideration or action, but Hank, thanks for all your work on that. So more to follow. Lisa, anything to add? Okay, on to 3, economic development. Kelly, we'll lead with you.
I'm going to let Lisa lead because I've got some tailing information on top of what she has, so.
Okay, go.
Just wanted to walk y'all through some of the angles that Kelly and I have looked at on how to approach this, and kind of what we would recommend. So we started out getting a proposal from Simple City Design, and that was basically the company consults with council, has a workshop, and then has a, what would you call it? A rendering, kind of a, they develop kind of a master plan of what would work in that space. Yeah, kind of a rendering of what would work in that space. So that is, I don't think that's, I know that's not what we want to do. It's very focused on a retreat, and I know not everybody's interested in sitting down for, half a day, and working through what I think has already been worked through in the master plan. But he does have some great ideas as far as what that corridor could look like. In the same vein, I talked to a guy named Phil Murick, and he is an expert on placemaking. That's when you're developing. It's both a destination, but you're being really aware of what you want that place to look like. Things like that are the Pearl Master Plan, the new UTSA downtown campus, the Hemisphere Park. It usually includes a public component to it, whether it's an amphitheater or fountains or a park or those kinds of things, and you build around it. He is way out of our league price-wise, but he also had some good ideas. Kelly and I looked at Kate Silvas's proposal again, and again, it's very expensive and not entirely what we are interested as well. It's more education of the council and gathering information, and I don't think in comparison to some of the other contracts, or I'm sorry, the other proposals that we've looked at, that she has the experience that that we need to get this thing going. Another group that I talked to is called Retail Strategies, and they have a couple programs. One was in a downtown revitalization program, which didn't really fit us. We don't have a downtown. And then the retail like the kind of the bigger box retails. But what they do offer, and I actually talked to them about, they reminded me, I was on their list, that I talked to them about this at TML, which is a retail kind of academy where there's a lot of trainings and we develop a plan and figure out how to move forward from there. Again, not quite what we're looking for. The one that I think Kelly and I were most interested in, just as approach-wise, called the Retail Coach. And they analyze your communities, they bring in prospects, they recruit developers. They've done a lot of work in Southlake, Green, Plano, Grapevine. What they're doing, they analyze the market, they determine retail opportunities, they identify development opportunities, they identify retailers, they do marketing, branding, they do recruiting retailers, they recruit retailers and development. Again, there's this downtown revitalization, which doesn't apply to us, and then there's coaching and, and ongoing support for implementing this action plan. And Kelly, I'll let Kelly take it from there. You spoke with Aaron Farmer today.
Yeah. He and I had a great talk. We were both driving, so we both had some time to throw some ideas around. But part of his plan, it's a yearly plan, and I think if we were to use his company, I think it's one of those things where we maybe have count on at least 2 years and then see where we're at there, because once we're filled up, right, we're filled up, right? So I talked to him. The only thing I didn't see in there is about having a planning session, and he would want to do some sort of pre-planning. I don't know if I don't think it'd be a whole day or even a half day session, but he wants to get a feel for what we would want. What do we want here? And I think we all have a very good idea of what we do want. But relaying that to him and creating a plan so that we can focus on how we're going to achieve our goals of responsibly developing 2252. Let's see here. We had, and he is open to the idea of coming and presenting to us at the next meeting. So I think I think you guys seeing him and hearing him in person would probably open your eyes a little bit, and, I mean, even more so than they are, so. As far as, and you were talking about Kate Sillis's,
Right.
so I think one thing is if we don't utilize her for that, the proposal she sent, I can really see us using her for grant work. You know, any business, any company I've talked to, what's in it for us? What are you gonna do for us, right? Like, what are we gonna help them out with, you know? And I mean, even in Cibolo, on a rental property I got you know, $10,000 grant from the city, Cibolo Economic Development, just to build out a garage and do some facial work and turn it into office space. So that's a huge help to a small business. And we all know we have a lot of people who are small businesses and investors that live in our own city who are trying to invest in our city. And I mean, I think that would, you know, go miles with trying to help them out. So yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you both. Jesse, anything for water company and utilities?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that the Comel Trinity Groundwater Conservation District Board is meeting here on Monday, the 18th, at 6 p.m., council chambers. So they have their quarterly meeting. Usually their fourth quarter meeting is usually somewhere out in the area instead of meeting at their regular place. So they'll be here. Encourage council members, and I know Water Commission people already left, but I mentioned it to them already about coming. So whenever I get the invitation, I'll be sure to send it to Michelle to get it to Water Commission. So I think it's good to come and talk and find out what they're up to as far as Trinity and you know, the drought, things like that. So they'd be good to keep up with. I'll plan to attend.
Thank you. 5, council liaisons to Comal ISD. Brian, you get to lead off.
Yeah, we were just talking, me and Todd are gonna plan on meeting with the board in the near future, so we can kind of catch up and see what's going on with them. We just gotta coordinate with our work schedule, so. Yes, but we will be doing that very soon, sir.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
go Wolves, right? All right.
Okay, can I add something, Mike,
Yeah.
real quick, on one point I wanted to make? So when I was talking with Aaron today from Retail Coach, he said, he was, you know, we were talking, and he kind of asked, you know, how soon are you guys thinking of doing something? And, you know, just so you guys know, this thing is very important to me, and I know it's important to Lisa. Obviously, she's done a lot of research too. So we're 15 years behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
As far as economic development. So, and I didn't say anything to him like that today. I didn't even mention that. And he said, you guys are probably about 15 years behind. So that's the number I had in mind, and then he said the same thing. I know he's a salesperson. He's trying to get us
Right.
to take his service, but I believe him because that's the number I had in mind. So, you know, I think if we really like what he has to say at the next meeting, then I really think we need to push for, you know, we've got the numbers already. We have the proposals. So I think we really need to push for getting something going and going quick. We're gonna miss the boat, and we already are. We already are missing the boat. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, on to item number 10, discussion of future agenda items, starting on my left. Anything you want on for December? Todd? No, I think we dealt with it. Jesse? Lisa? Kelly?
I have to add something. I've had people on me for 2 years now. We have got to address the golf cart thing. So how we do it, we've got to address it. I get almost as many phone calls about that as I do the Corey stuff, so.
All right. Let's work with, how about you and Nancy, work with what would be, how to put that on the agenda? Okay. Nancy, does that work? Okay. All right. On to item number 11, citizen comment period. You don't have to have signed up. Everybody gets 2 minutes. We can't comment, but we're listening. Sharon, you're already on your way?
I'll take you, because y'all brought up some stuff tonight that got me going a little bit here, so.
You're on.
Is it on?
Now you're on.
Okay. Sharon Stripling, 21729 Forest Waters Circle. The topic that came up that got me going was the contract with Ms. Shackelford, because to me it was sort of broad, and as a citizen of Garden Ridge, I want y'all to be fiscally responsible with my tax dollars. This even came up when y'all did the budget, and y'all put in a line item for $10,000 to fight the quarry, and a lot of y'all were against it, but then everybody still approved the budget. And I didn't quite understand that rationale. My deal here is that y'all, to me, when I look at y'all, y'all represent the city of Garden Ridge. And not everybody's on the same page on how we're going to handle this, which is why I think what y'all did tonight, trying to get a consensus on how to handle it, is a good way to go. The one thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks that bothers me is I had a friend of mine say, hey, how come you didn't go to the meeting they had the other night addressing the quarries? And I said, okay. And they said it was, I think it was the one Lisa put on. And I said, well, and they go, well, that was a city. I go, no, it was not a city meeting. I said, she stated everywhere that she was not representing the city. But that's a hard line to draw there, a very hard line. And as a citizen of Garden Ridge, I think we need to be careful with that, because that's where y'all are putting, she might have put the whole board saying, oh, now everybody, the whole board's against it. But that's just my opinion, that y'all need to come up with a consensus on how to handle it. And we've got to live with it. The quarry's been here longer than we have, so we've got to figure out a good way to deal with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Got to turn the mic on. There we go.
Let the resident expert do it. But anyway, Vanessa J. Douglas, 9045 Sumac Cove, Garden Ridge. The question or the concern that I have is, on my circle, I have a lot of neighbors, and we just recently had a house party because they back up to the park, and it seems like oak wilt is back. You all have invested a lot of dollars and a lot of time in trying to prevent the oak wilt, and some of the measures that have been put in place, it's not working, or it's breaking through, or they're finding more oak wilt. The problem that I have, or the concern that I have, is there's an ordinance that says what we have to do, but what is laid out that we have to do isn't fixing the problem. So you're throwing money after bad, and I would like for us to kind of relook at that and figure out what we can do that's working, and not force the residents to follow a policy or pay for things that's not going to work, because you all did a fabulous job on our avenue, but it's not holding. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, on to item number 12, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. We'll start on my right. Kelly.
Yes, okay, so we have, I'll give you some chamber updates here. All right, so luncheon this coming Tuesday, the 12th, 11 a.m., right here in our own backyard. So at our newly painted and brand-new floor, community center. Elected officials reception is the next day at our community center. And we got lucky, we got it 2 years in a row. So guys, I'd love to have everybody out here from our council, and if some folks from the city can show up, that'd be awesome too. It's a great event, and last year was the largest attendance we'd ever had, and we're expecting it to probably be bigger this year. So it's just a good way to network with a lot of your surrounding cohorts at different levels of government. So great time. That's from 6 to 9, Wednesday, November 13th. And then one more luncheon, December 10th, that's Prize Palooza. So if you guys like winning free stuff, that's a good one to go to. So almost everybody wins a prize. So that's December 10th at 11 a.m. right here in our own backyard, community center. That's all I have.
Lisa?
I'm going to lump this under Great Springs Project because I worked on it with them. We received a Texas Parks and Wildlife Division grant of $133,000. Well, it's a $166,000 grant. We're responsible for $33,000 of it. So that will be for a trail in Paul Davis Park. It will be a year before anything gets kicked off. It has to go through so many reviews and regulations and things, but that's something to look forward to. So I'm excited about that. And I thank you to Great Springs Project for being a great helper in that.
Great work. Thanks. Jesse?
Couple things. At the last AMPO Technical Advisory Committee, one thing that was mentioned was Textile made a presentation. And, you see their motto or their quote slogan, "End the streak in Texas." What that means, end the streak of daily deaths in Texas roadways. Any of y'all know when the last day, full day, when no deaths occurred in Texas roadways?
1980.
Tomorrow will be 24 years. November 7th, 2000. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So be careful when you're going to Dallas tomorrow. Me too. And also, something you might be interested in, Rob, the demographics trends in Texas that was presented also might be something for NEP. So I'll send it to Marissa next week and send it to you and see if you're interested in something for NEP. But it was great to cover the demographics. Texas had the largest population growth between 22 and 23 in all the state, in the country. 87% of the growth occurred around San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. Just that little triangle there. So that's 87%. 140-something counties in Texas lost population. The smaller counties, their kids are going to the big cities. So anyway, but I have more information. I can share that with you. I think maybe a good idea for NEP. I didn't think about it until today when I was looking through my notes.
That's great.
So I'll send it to you. I'll send it to
Thank you.
Marissa, so it's in next week.
West Texas is still wide open then, if you want
That's right.
to land. Speaking of Go Wolves, Todd?
I told you I was up, right? All right, let's do Boy Scouts first. City of Garden Ridge has another Eagle Scout as of about 2 weeks ago. I don't remember the exact date. I will now work to see when they're available and get them in front of council either December or January. They're two seniors. They procrastinated, is that the right term? Hopefully they're watching me knowing I'm picking on them, but they're done, and that's the important thing. They got it. And I'll get them in here.
I think there was one in the audience today that, from another troop, that's probably having to do one of his requirements.
Probably working on that, yeah, probably, yeah. That's kind of what I thought too, yeah. Okay, so that's the Boy Scout thing. Let's talk Davenport High School very, very quickly and very, very briefly. Friday night, they are doing the band is putting on their now going to state-bound competition performance. Highly recommend it to people out there in YouTube land to go and see that. It is very impressive, for lack of a better way to put it. Those kids, I always joke, they put in more hours than the football team, and they do. Speaking of the football team, they are the undefeated district champions. Off to playoffs on the 15th. We don't know exactly where yet, but we'll get that figured out. Girls volleyball is off to area. They've already won the by-district and the district. I know I'm missing somebody else in there. I got the band, I got the girls volleyball, I got the football team. I know I'm missing somebody else, but I always want to hype people, go check out that high school because it's doing a lot of really, really, really good stuff. And it's not just sports, it's also academics, band, arts. It's across the board. So go check it out. Next event would be Friday night, 7 o'clock. It'll last about 30 minutes, but it's a great performance. So go check the band out. I know I missed something, but I can't remember what it is, so I'm done.
Go Wolves. Brian?
Yep. Just to be part of the group and have something, Garden Ridge Elementary School had their annual Wolf Fest Saturday. It was highly successful. very good, very good events. A lot of kids, and I think they did really well out there. So just wanted to give them kudos for that. That's a great thing that they're starting to do now every year. So next year, when they have it, I suggest everybody go out there. It's fun. So that's all I have.
Can I add to what you just said? So that event helps raise so much money that they're actually able to help sponsor other pieces of the school, like the choir T-shirts and things like that. So, I mean, it's the most money I think they've ever raised off that. So, yeah, huge.
Awesome. Northeast Partnership Luncheon next week, so it's a busy week with Tri-County stuff and Northeast Partnership. And Families of Garden Ridge Adopt a Highway program. I'm really hesitant to put anybody, especially kids, out on 2252 with all of the work going on out there. But Todd, I want to work with you to come up with a date that we can do a modified one with the Boy Scouts, because Door Lane is a mess. So maybe do Door Lane and then see if we can incorporate 3009 or something, a little bit of that needs it.
I know that 3009 is looking for a sponsor, so you
Right.
might want to move.
Did you just say you
2252.
wanted
No.
to jump in? No?
But I thought you might want to move from 2252 to 3009 since you got the construction on
Yeah.
2252, so.
That's not ending anytime soon, so that's right.
So it might be something to consider.
Okay, awesome, that's all I've got. Moving on to item number 13, executive session, we do have an update tonight. So the city council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session. 13A pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0711, pending or contemplated litigation, and 551.0712, consultation with city attorney on the following items. Petition for declaratory judgment, Eric Fisher versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number Charlie 2024-1164 Bravo, and notice of claim letter pursuant to Texas Tort Claims Act, Craig Dillard versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number Charlie 2024-1193 Echo. We will recess at 8:01 and reconvene in executive session at 8:10 in the room behind us. All right, Marissa, are we good to go? Okay. Item number 14, we're back in session at 8:21 PM. 14 is business items. We had no business item to bring back into regular session from closed session. So on item number 15, adjournment, there being no further business, the city council regular meeting is adjourned at 8:21 PM. Happy Thanksgiving. So we're all going to see each other before that.